Stop it! Get on the ground now, hands behind your back.
Officer, the tire is flat. My hands are empty.
Turn around! You're being detained!
My name is Marcus Thorne, City Legal Director. Your body cam is on. This is an unlawful detention.
The scene was surreal. A 54-year-old man in pressed slacks and a polo shirt kneeling next to a deflated tire being treated like an armed felon. Marcus Thorne watched the officer's face. He saw the adrenaline, the dilated pupils, the sweat beading on the young man's forehead. He saw the lack of assessment. Braden wasn't looking at the flat tire. He wasn't looking at the hazard lights blinking rhythmically against the bright afternoon sun. He was looking at a black man holding a heavy metal object in a neighborhood where he decided Marcus didn't belong. "Officer," Marcus said, his voice dropping an octave, steady and authoritative, the voice he used when addressing the city council. "My name is Marcus Thorne. I am the Director of Legal Affairs for this municipality. My identification is in the glove box. The car is registered to the city. If you escalate this further, you will be violating the Fourth Amendment, and you will be doing so without qualified immunity because the situation clearly does not warrant this level of force." "Shut up! Turn around, hands behind your back!" Braden advanced, pulling his taser. Marcus didn't flinch. He slowly placed the lug wrench on the ground and stood up, dusting off his knees. He didn't turn around. He looked Officer Braden directly in the eye. "I am standing. My hands are empty. I am not a threat. But understand this, your body camera is blinking. Every word you say, every command you give that lacks reasonable suspicion is being recorded. And I assure you, I will be the one reviewing that footage first thing Monday morning." But before we see exactly how Officer Braden destroys his entire life in the next 10 minutes, I need you to do something for me. If you believe that no one is above the law, and that includes the people wearing badges, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Drop a like on this video if you think citizens deserve respect. This story is about to show you exactly what happens when arrogance meets authority. You don't want to miss the fallout. Marcus Thorne was a man of routine and precision. At 54, he had built a life on the bedrock of the law. He didn't believe in shortcuts. He believed in statutes, precedents, and the rigorous application of justice. He had started as a public defender, grinding through the system for pennies before moving to the city attorney's office. Over 25 years, he had climbed the ladder rung by rung until he sat at the top. He was the shield for the city. When a sidewalk cracked and someone tripped, Marcus handled it. When a contract dispute threatened to stall a construction project, Marcus smoothed it over. And when police officers stepped out of line, Marcus was the one who calculated the liability. He was a man who respected the uniform because he knew how difficult the job was. He had defended plenty of good officers who had made honest mistakes in split-second situations. But he had no patience for bullies. That Sunday had been perfect. He had taken his Jaguar XJ, a retirement gift to himself, a few years early out, for a spin to clear his head before a heavy week of budget hearings. He was driving through the Highlands, a neighborhood of sprawling estates and oak trees, when the telltale thump-thump-thump of a blowout shuddered through the steering wheel. It was an annoyance, nothing more. Marcus pulled over to a safe spot on the wide shoulder, engaged his hazard lights, and got to work. He didn't call 8AA. He was a man who took pride in self-sufficiency. He took off his suit jacket, folded it neatly on the passenger seat, and retrieved the jack and lug wrench from the trunk. He was loosening the lug nuts, focusing on the task, enjoying the physical labor, when the siren chirped behind him. Officer Kyle Braden was 28 years old and had been on the force for 4 years. He was known in the precinct as a charger, an officer who loved the action, who looked for trouble where there wasn't any. He had received a call from dispatch about a suspicious person report. A neighbor, likely peering through blinds 3 streets over, had called in about someone loitering near driveways. The description was non-existent, just a male. When Braden turned the corner and saw the silver Jaguar with a black man kneeling beside it, his brain didn't register motorist in distress. It registered suspect. He didn't see the flat tire. He didn't see the hazard lights. He saw a man who didn't fit his image of the Highlands holding a metal bar. Bias is a funny thing. It acts like a filter, stripping away context and leaving only fear and aggression. Braden slammed his cruiser into park and didn't even check the license plate. If he had, he would have seen the municipal government tags. He would have seen the official business designation. But he didn't check. He just opened his door and started screaming. The disconnect was immediate, Marcus would later write in his statement. I was engaged in a mundane act of vehicle maintenance. The officer was engaged in a high-risk felony stop. We were in two different realities. The problem was, he was the one with the gun. Officer, Marcus tried again, keeping his hands raised to shoulder height, palms open. You are making a detention. For a detention to be lawful, you need reasonable suspicion that a crime has been, is being, or is about to be committed. I am changing a flat tire. That is not a crime. Please tell me what specific crime you suspect me of. Braden's face was flushed red. He wasn't used to people talking back like this. He was used to fear. He was used to, yes, sir, and sorry, sir. This man's vocabulary, detention, reasonable suspicion, lawful, felt like an insult. It felt like a challenge to his authority. You're acting belligerent, Braden spat out, stepping closer. I'm investigating a report of a suspicious person in the area. You fit the description. What description? Marcus pressed his voice, calm but sharp as a razor. Did the report describe a man in a polo shirt fixing a Jaguar? Did it describe a flat tire? Or did it just describe a black man? Stop arguing with me. I need to see ID, now. I would be happy to provide it, Marcus said. As I told you, my wallet is in the glove compartment. I am going to move to the passenger door and retrieve it. Don't you move, Braden yelled, his hand dropping to the grip of his pistol. You stay right there. If you reach for that car, I will drop you. It was the classic catch-22, a trap Marcus had seen in hundreds of case files. Show me your ID, but if you move to get your ID, I will shoot you for reaching. It was a logic loop designed to force non-compliance. If Marcus didn't produce the ID, he was refusing to identify. If he went to get it, he was reaching for a weapon. Officer, Marcus said, keeping his body perfectly still. You have created a situation where compliance is impossible. You are ordering me to produce identification while simultaneously ordering me not to move. This is a violation of Department Policy Section 402.1 regarding citizen contacts. I am asking you to call your supervisor. Call a sergeant to the scene. Now. I don't need a sergeant to handle a resisting suspect, Braden sneered. He was losing control of the interaction, and he knew it. The man wasn't scared. The man was lecturing him. And that made Braden feel small. It made him feel stupid. And a man like Kyle Braden would burn the world down before he let a suspect make him feel stupid. I'm not resisting, Marcus said. I am explaining the law to you. And I am telling you for your own sake, look at the tire. Just look down. It is flat. The jack is under the frame. Use your eyes, son. Don't let your prejudice drive this car off the cliff. The word son snapped something in Braden. He holstered his taser and reached for his handcuffs. That's it. You're done. Turn around. Marcus Thorne had a choice. He could physically resist, which would get him tased or shot, and would give the officer a legal defense later. Or he could submit, allow the violation to happen, and then use the full weight of the legal system to crush the department. He was a chess player. He knew that sometimes you have to lose a pawn to take the king. I am complying, Marcus said loudly for the benefit of the body camera and the neighbors who had started to gather on their porches. He saw Mrs. Gable from the Homeowners Association standing by her hedges holding her phone up. Good. Witnesses. I am turning around. I am placing my hands behind my back. I am doing this under duress and in protest of an unlawful arrest. Braden grabbed Marcus's wrists and twisted them roughly behind his back. The steel cuffs ratcheted tight, too tight. You're under arrest, Braden panted, the adrenaline still coursing through him. For what charge? Marcus asked. His cheek was pressed against the hot metal of the Jaguar's roof where Braden had shoved him. "Disorderly conduct," Braden said, "and failure to obey a lawful order, and resisting. Those are catch-all charges," Marcus said, his voice muffled but distinct. "They are the charges officers use when they have no actual probable cause. You are arresting me because I bruised your ego. And I want you to remember this moment, officer. I want you to remember the feeling of these cuffs on my wrists, because you are going to trade places with me sooner than you think. Shut up. Get in the car." Braden hauled Marcus away from his vehicle, leaving the Jaguar jacked up on the side of the road, the trunk open, the tools scattered. He shoved the city legal director into the back of the patrol unit. The back seat of a police cruiser is designed to be dehumanizing. It is hard plastic, cramped, and smells of old sweat and disinfectant. Marcus sat awkwardly, his shoulders aching from the position of his arms. He closed his eyes and began to breathe deeply. He wasn't panicking. He was working. He was building the file in his head. Time of stop, 2:15 p.m. Officer name, Braden. Badge number. I didn't get it, but I have his face. Refusal to acknowledge the flat tire. Refusal to allow access to ID. Excessive force in cuffing. Use of son as a trigger for escalation. This is a textbook Section 1983 violation. Braden got into the driver's seat. He didn't look back at his prisoner. He just put the car in gear and peeled away, leaving the hazard lights of the Jaguar blinking a silent warning to no one. The drive to the precinct took 15 minutes. It was a silent drive. Braden had turned off his radio, likely trying to calm his own nerves. He was starting to come down from the adrenaline spike, and the nagging voice of doubt was beginning to whisper. Why was the guy so calm? Why did he know the penal codes? But Braden pushed the thoughts away. The guy was probably a jailhouse lawyer, some ex-con who spent his time in the library, learning just enough to be annoying. That had to be it. They pulled into the rear sally port of the 4th Precinct. This was the irony that almost made Marcus smile. The 4th Precinct was the flagship station. It was where the chief had his secondary office. It was where Marcus came every other Wednesday for risk management meetings. He knew the layout of the building better than Braden did. He knew that the keypad code to the back door had been changed 3 weeks ago because he had authorized the memo. Braden hauled Marcus out of the car. "Let's go. Move." They walked through the heavy steel doors and into the processing area. It was a sterile room with concrete floors and a high booking desk. Behind the desk sat Sergeant Frank Miller. Frank was 58, a relic of the old guard, but a good man. He was close to retirement. He was drinking coffee and reading a sports magazine when the door buzzed. He didn't look up immediately. "What do you got, Braden? Another loiterer?" Frank asked, his voice bored. "Disorderly and resisting," Braden said, puffing out his chest. "Guy wouldn't listen, acting aggressive." "Name?" Frank asked, finally looking up over his reading glasses. "Refused to ID," Braden said. "John Doe, for now." Frank looked at the man in handcuffs. He looked at the polo shirt. He looked at the face. He blinked. He took his glasses off and rubbed his eyes, then looked again. The color drained from Frank's face so fast it looked like he'd been shot. Oh, sweet Jesus," Frank whispered. He stood up his chair, scraping loudly against the floor. "What?" Braden asked, confused. Frank ignored him. He came around the desk, moving faster than he had in years. "Mr. Thorne, sir, is that you?" Marcus nodded politely. "Hello, Frank. How are the grandkids?" Braden looked between them, his mouth opening and closing like a fish. You know this guy, Sarge." Frank turned on Braden with a look of pure horror mixed with fury. "Know him, you idiot. This is Marcus Thorne. He's the city legal director. He's the head of the legal department. He's the man who represents the police chief." The silence that followed was heavy enough to crush a man. Braden looked at Marcus. He looked at the cuffs. He looked back at Frank. He said he was a lawyer, Braden stammered. I thought he was lying. He's not a lawyer, you moron, Frank hissed. He's the lawyer. He's the city's lawyer. Panic in a police station is a unique thing. It's not loud screaming. It's hushed, frantic urgency. It's the sound of careers dying. Get those cuffs off him, Frank barked. Right now. Hold on, Frank, Marcus said, his voice cool. Do not remove these handcuffs. Frank froze. Sir. If you take them off, you tamper with the evidence of the arrest condition, Marcus said. I want the watch commander down here. I want Lieutenant Harris. And I want him to see me exactly as Officer Braden brought me in. I want the full picture documented. Call Harris, Frank told Braden. Now. Braden was shaking. He fumbled for his radio. LT to processing. Urgent. 2 minutes later, Lieutenant Harris burst through the doors. He was a sharp political officer who knew exactly which way the wind blew. When he saw Marcus Thorne in handcuffs standing next to a terrified-looking Kyle Braden, he looked like he might vomit. Director Thorne, Harris said, walking over with his hands raised in apology. Sir, I don't know what happened here, but we are going to fix it immediately. Braden, uncuff him. I advised Sergeant Frank to wait for you, Marcus said. I want you to see this lieutenant. I want you to see your officer's judgment in physical form. I was changing a tire. I identified myself. I was arrested for disorderly conduct because I asked for a supervisor. Harris turned to Braden. His eyes were cold, dead things. Is that true? You arrested the legal director for a flat tire. He was resisting LT. He wouldn't show ID. Because you wouldn't let me get it, Marcus corrected. You told me if I moved, you would drop me. Harris closed his eyes for a second, rubbing his temples. Uncuff him. Now. That is an order. Braden fumbled with the key. His hands were trembling so badly he dropped it once. When the cuffs finally clicked open, Marcus rubbed his wrists. There were deep red indentations. I need water, Marcus said. And I need a conference room. I am not going to the cells, obviously, but I am not leaving either. Anything you need, sir, Harris said. He turned to Braden. Give me your gun and your badge. Go sit in the break room. Do not speak to anyone. Do not text anyone. You are relieved of duty pending an immediate internal review. Braden placed his gun and shield on the booking desk. He looked small now. The uniform looked like a costume he didn't know how to wear. He walked away, shoulders slumped into the back hallway. Sir? Harris said to Marcus. Please accept my deepest apologies. The chief is on his way. We can make this right. Lieutenant, Marcus said, adjusting his cuffs. You can't make this right. You can only make it legal. I'm not here for an apology. I'm here for the paperwork. Marcus sat in the conference room, a bottle of water untouched in front of him. He had his phone out. He didn't call his wife yet. He didn't want to worry her until he was home. He called the city manager. David, Marcus said when the line picked up. It's Marcus. We have a problem. What kind of problem? Budget. Liability. Significant liability. I'm currently at the 4th precinct. Are you helping with a case on a Sunday? No, David. I was the case. I was just arrested by one of our officers. There was a long silence on the other end. Excuse me. False arrest, excessive force, unlawful detention, racial profiling. I was handcuffed for changing a tire on my own car. I'm going to need you to authorize outside counsel for the city. I obviously cannot represent the department in this matter, as I will be the plaintiff. Marcus, tell me you're joking. I wish I were. I need the body cam footage secured immediately. I want the dash cam. I want the dispatch logs. I'm triggering a litigation hold on all data related to Officer Kyle Braden. By the time the police chief arrived, the station was in lockdown mode. The chief, a man named Henderson, whom Marcus had known for a decade, looked devastated. He walked into the conference room and sat down heavily. "Marcus," he said, "I saw the footage. Harris pulled it up. It's indefensible." "I know," Marcus said. "He escalated from 0 to 60 in 10 seconds. He didn't listen. He didn't look." "I'm firing him," Henderson said. "I'm initiating termination proceedings tonight. Conduct unbecoming civil rights violations incompetence. He's done." "That's a start," Marcus said. "But you and I both know Braden isn't the only problem. He felt comfortable doing that. He felt empowered. That's a training issue. That's a culture issue. If he does that to me, the city legal director, what is he doing to the kid who works at the grocery store? What is he doing to the mechanic? That's what scares me, Chief. I can fight back. They can't." Marcus stood up. He gathered his things. "I want the arrest report. I want the booking sheet labeled released, detention only. And I want to ride back to my car. I have a tire to change." The fallout was swift and absolute. Officer Kyle Braden was terminated following an expedited internal affairs investigation. The union didn't even fight it. The video was so damning that defending him would have been political suicide. The footage showed a calm, professional older man being screamed at by a hysterical officer who refused to acknowledge reality. It was viral gold, but the city kept it under seal as part of the settlement, though leaks are inevitable in this digital age. The city settled with Marcus Thorne for $450,000. It was a quick settlement. The city council didn't want a public trial where their own lawyer cross-examined their own police force. Marcus didn't buy a boat. He didn't upgrade his house. He took the check and deposited it into a new trust. He founded the Thorne Legal Defense Fund, a non-profit clinic designed to provide top-tier legal representation to indigent citizens who had been subjected to unlawful stops. He hired 2 young, hungry civil rights attorneys to run it. Braden left the state. Last anyone heard, he was working construction in Nevada, telling anyone who would listen that he got a raw deal, that he was just following procedure. But he knows the truth. He knows he let his bias blind him. 6 months later, Marcus was back in his office. He was looking over a file for a new case. A young man had been stopped for walking in the roadway and ended up tased. Marcus picked up his pen. Before this, he might have looked for ways to minimize the city's exposure. He might have looked for loopholes to defend the officer. Now he looked at the file differently. He saw the human being on the other side of the report. He picked up the phone and called the chief. "Chief, it's Marcus. We're not fighting this one. We're settling. And you need to retrain that sergeant." The system worked for Marcus Thorne because he was Marcus Thorne. He had the title, the knowledge, and the power. But his story serves as a mirror. It forces us to ask, what happens when it's not the legal director? What happens when it's you? As Marcus drove home that evening, passing the spot on Old Mill Road where he had knelt in the dirt, he didn't feel anger anymore. He felt a heavy responsibility. He had been given a glimpse of the jagged edge of the sword he had helped sharpen for years. And now he was going to spend the rest of his career making sure that sword didn't cut the innocent. Justice isn't just about laws. It's about the people enforcing them having the wisdom to see the difference between a criminal and a man fixing a flat tire. Thank you for reading this story. It's a heavy one, but necessary. What do you think? Should officers be required to carry personal liability insurance for cases like this? Or is the termination enough? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you believe in accountability, share this story. Let's keep the conversation going. Stay safe out there, folks.